Hi, this is Janet. Don't you just love it when you go someplace and you just feel like you're home? I mean, you haven't been there before, but you just feel like you're not a stranger, like you've met a friend. That's what happened today when we went to visit a maple sugar place up in Carleton County near where my relatives used to live. And so we had just a wonderful day. It was a great sunshiny day with a little bit of a sparkle of snow in the air at times. And so it was a great place with great people. Definitely is worth the drive. So just watch this video, would you please? Hi, this is Janet, and here we are. We took some hungry teenagers in a car, which you should never do when you're traveling a long ways. But we've traveled up near Glassville to a place called Divide.
Correct.
And this is the Sugar Moon Cookhouse, and I'm here with David Harvey, who runs this with his brother Andrew. And how long have you been running it, David?
My dad and Andy and I, we've been had this establishment open in 2005. So we've been here 20 years.
Wow, and I've never heard of it until, I was looking for places near Glassville because I have a Glassville connection. My Uncle Tom had T.W. Corey's General Store in Glassville, and I love this place. So we just thought we'd come up here and find a place where we could have some breakfast.
Breakfast, yeah. It was a busy day.
It was a busy day,
From the busiest days we've ever had. So,
so a couple hundred people.
Probably a couple hundred people here today.
Yeah, so we want people to know how beautiful it is. You have a gorgeous building inside.
Yeah. And everything's all, when my dad and them built the building, everything was all done, like all the lumber inside was sawed at our local sawmill.
Yeah.
So we had all kinds of, we put cedar on the board, up and down. We got spruce up on in the rafters, and this is all cedar shingles. Yeah, did everything.
Yeah. So this would be all from your land, all this wood?
Yes, all this wood came from
And so how much land do you own?
We have a couple hundred acres of ground here.
Yeah.
And then originally, and I never mentioned that earlier, but originally we had 45,000 taps, maple taps.
Okay.
And they were about 3 kilometers back that way.
Yeah.
And they were on a mountain range just back about 3 kilometers. And we sold that operation in 2017.
Okay.
And we kept our building.
Yeah.
And then we decided, well, we better have a few taps, and so we downsized. So we bought a smaller boiler, a smaller RO, and then we tapped. Now we have about 1,550 taps.
Okay, yeah.
And then we're going to expand our tapping operation. We've got a little piece of ground that we've got leased here, so we'll have about 5,000 taps to 6,000 over the next 2-3 years.
Okay.
And so that's
so it keeps you busy. You're open for about 7 weeks.
7 weeks. We open about the second week of March.
Yeah.
And usually run to about the last week of April.
Right. So Easter's late this year, so you'll be open Easter Monday.
Easter Monday, and when Easter's late, sap's late, historically. That's why they always go by the moon.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's just So Easter's late, sap's late.
Well, this is about the latest Easter can be, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So we'll boil sap. Last year we started the 1st of March, and we were done April 11th, April 12th. This year we started mid-March, and we'll probably go to the 23rd, 24th, 25th of April.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful spot. I had no idea it was here, but I'm really glad we happened along to it. So, David, you were telling us about some connections you have with, like, country music.
Country music. That's
and you're
correct.
A fan. I hope you're a fan.
I'm a lovely fan of country music. Love country music.
Yeah.
And I was telling you earlier, we were in the cattle business, the Hereford cattle business, and in the late 70s and 80s. And my father, Fred, was good friends with Albert Goodine in Spring Hill, and outside of Fredericton, and they had Hereford cattle also. So they went to a cattle sale, and they had a sale every year called I think it was the All Spring Farm Sale.
Yes.
All Spring Farm Sale, and we had one called the Sale of the East.
Yeah.
So we there was a couple gentlemen showing up from the U.S. that were country singers, Randy Owens and Teddy Gentry, and from Alabama, and they were in the Hereford cattle business. Each had their own farm, Tennessee River Company, and the other one was called Lazy G.
Wow.
And so somehow the connection got made, and Fred and the 2 Alabama gentlemen, Randy and Ted Gentry, and Albert Goodine, ended up buying a cow together. And we brought this cow up here, and we did embryo transplants with this cow.
Right.
And we communicated with their farm and at the time. And
you were all involved in
all
that.
involved together, yeah.
Yeah.
And I talked to I'm not saying I talked to Ted or Randy Owens, but I did talk to their managers quite a few times. And then my dad and my mother and Albert and Ines Goodine went to one of their sales and in the late 80s. And were invited down, stayed all night with Randy Owens and his wife. And so they all stayed there, and he ended up meeting, I was telling you guys earlier, they were sitting in, there was 8 of them at the table, and there was another gentleman there, and he was a race car driver, and it was Dale Earnhardt. Yeah. So it was amazing. So
this guy's hoity-toity, like that's what we're saying, right?
Yeah, and so it's So
was it successful? This cow, like, did it?
Produce, her name was Karen, the Weta Karen.
Not Karen.
Yeah. So they paid a lot of money for it.
Off of her,
they paid a lot of money for it.
Well, you know that AI business back then. It's not what it is now, but
it was $32,000 a cow.
Yes.
A lot of money.
Okay.
So that's how the cattle business come about, and then we got out of that and dabbled in other things, I guess. But so this here's the Great Divide, and I explained to you earlier about the watersheds. Yeah. And we're divide the Miramichi River and the St. John River, and when you come up the Divide Road, there's a lake called Argyle Lake, and that's the farthest most eastern point of the Miramichi River. And then you can come down the road, and the water goes both ways. One's to St. John, and one way it goes to the Miramichi. So
that is pretty cool. Well, I'm really glad that we came up here. I'm glad that we met you. He's freezing out there because he doesn't like the cold. And he didn't know where he was, so he was a bit anxious. But I know where I am. I'm in God's country, right?
Well, everybody's from Carleton County. See, at one time or another.
That's right. Yeah. He doesn't know that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a pleasure to meet you, Dave.
Pleasure to meet you guys.
Thank you so much for a beautiful meal. Yeah, if you want a beautiful meal, beans, pancakes, toast, bacon, sausage, awesome.
And taffy on the snow.
We had ours, and so thank you so much.
No problem at all.
Pleasure.
Nice meeting you guys.
Yes.
See you later. Bye.
Do you mind if I get you on video?
Go right ahead, take a picture of that.
Yeah, she'll be at, well, I meant you.
Oh, you go right ahead.
I think he's videoing you, dear.
That's all right. You guys go right ahead.
So here we are up at
Sugar Moon
Cookhouse.
Yeah, in Divide.
And is Divide an actual place?
Divide's an actual place. You know why it's called Divide?
Because there's politicians on both sides?
No. It separates the two watersheds.
Sugary.